Hey folks, Jim Thomas here, Fitness Management and Consulting, and welcome to our channel today. I appreciate you all being here. And if you're new to the channel, if you're finding us for that very first time, welcome as well. It's great to have you. And before we get into our topic here today, quick reminder, my focus, my mission here in the channel is I want to be able to provide as much information as I can to as many people as I can, across all regions. And the best way I can do that is when you choose to subscribe to the channel, when you choose to, like the videos, when you choose to offer comments, when you choose to share the information. So if you've not yet done so, please hit that subscribe button. For those of you that already have, thank you very much. And then to learn more about me, learn more about my company and how we can help take your business that next level, be sure to check out those links below. Also, consider becoming a channel member to receive additional information on how to expand your business and grow your operation. And with that said, let's get into our topic here today. And it's 9 thoughts on why you might be struggling in gym sales. 9 thoughts on why you might be struggling in gym sales. And so, a couple things. If you're an individual, if you're struggling in gym sales, this is for you. But this is also for you if you're a manager, if you're a sales manager, if you're a manager of a gym. You have a team that depends on you, that you need to train them and educate them. These are some things you can look at that perhaps you can help them, get better at what they're trying to do. So 9 thoughts on why you might be struggling in gym sales. Let's get into it. Number 1, not listening enough. Not listening enough. What's the old rule? We want to talk 20% of the time and listen 80%. A lot of truth to that. And because the secret, one of the secrets, to successful selling is don't go on talk, tell mode. Okay? What we want to do is ask good questions, and we want to learn as much about our customer as we can, because what we're trying to do here eventually is we want to be able to solve the problem. And so we're not listening enough. And so one of the things that I would suggest, if you have a needs analysis, a guest profile, I'm going to make a note here. I think we may already have this for you channel members. We may already have this on the channel, but a needs analysis guest profile, I'm going to load one of those up for you. So if you don't have it, if you're a channel member, you can grab it right there. But the great thing about the needs analysis, and I know a lot of folks kind of get away with some of that with technology, but the great thing about the needs analysis, when you're going on this tour, you can be asking questions, and now you're taking notes to what the customer says. You're writing down what they're saying, because you can't take notes. You can't be writing things down if you're talking. So we have to make sure that we're listening and we're asking great questions. So not listening enough would be number 1 on my list here. Number 2 is not understanding our value proposition. What is our value proposition? And here's what I find, for folks that are struggling in sales, they make this about these great features. Here's all of our equipment, here's our cardio, here's our free weights, here's our selectorized, here's Group X, here's nursery, here's our spin room, all these things, Your value proposition, it's solving problems. That's what we want to do. We want to solve problems for folks. This is one of the things that I didn't realize when I first started, and I struggled at it when I first started, because I thought I was selling memberships. Well, I am. Ultimately, that's what they're going to do, but they're going to do it when I solve their problem. When I show them how I can solve their problem, how I can change their life, now they're ready. Just to get a membership, no, not so much. It's a different dynamic. And so understand your value proposition. Why should I join your gym? Why? What's your differentiation? What do you do that's so much better than everybody else? How can you solve my problem? How can you bring solutions to me? Make sure it's not based on features. So thoughts on why you might be struggling, a lot of times that's a big one. We just go on autopilot and here's everything that we have. And in effect, we ended up kind of leasing them space if we do get them signed up. Number 3 on my list of the thoughts on why you might be struggling in gym sales is the issue of inconsistency. Yet we have to be consistent at this. Consistent every day of bringing in new leads. Consistent every day of making outbound phone calls. consistent every day of making our follow-up calls, the consistency every day of how we do the sales process, the consistency every day of the second sale, the consistency every day of being able to answer yes to this question. Is what I'm doing right now going to result in a sale? Okay, the very consistency of this is one of the great secrets of it, because when you don't do it, that's when I can absolutely guarantee results. Number 4 on why you might be struggling in gym sales: you're too timid. You're too timid. A couple things here. Okay, the first sale you ever make, and the most important sale you're ever going to make, is going to be that sale you make to yourself. You have to be sold yourself. And the question I would pose to you right now, can you solve your customer's problem? Do you have the best facility to solve your customer's problem? Is now the best time to solve your customer's problem? I know most folks will answer yes to all those questions. Okay, well, if all that's true, man, let's get out there and get the message out. What's our obligation all of a sudden if all that's true? Because if all that's true, we're not going to be too timid. But we have to get sold ourselves. If we're not really sold ourselves, it's hard to do some of that. The second thing I would comment on, I talk about this a lot, when we kind of talk about being timid. I talk about it when it comes to asking for the sale and doing some of that, right? Because it's an uncomfortable area for a lot of folks. And the words I give it are what I call decent boldness. Decent boldness. Hey, we can still be friendly. We can still be courteous. We can still be respectful. But we also want to be bold. And what I mean by bold, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. Ask. Doesn't cost anything to ask. Okay, they might say yes. Okay, and so decent boldness. Okay, we want to get away from that being timid. Number 5 on my list of 9 thoughts of why you might be struggling in gym sales is lack of follow-up. Okay, now I see this to be an industry-wide problem. Follow-up is a big issue. Okay, and I'm not talking about all the emails we send and text messages we send. I'm talking about following up with folks, calling them, making a phone call, communicating with them. Okay, follow up. Many clubs, do a poor job of it, quite frankly, and it's either a gigantic problem or it's a gigantic opportunity, depending on what you want it to be. But I can tell you this, on clubs that I go into that maybe are not doing follow-up, which is most of them that I talk to, and now we institute a solid follow-up program, you can see a 20% increase in business. And the beauty of this is, if you're a gym owner, the great news there's no additional cost because you've already bought all those leads. All those leads are already sitting there. You've got them already. And so we have to know how to make an outbound phone call. We have to have a strategy for this. I mean, how many outbound calls do you make a day? In some of your big box facilities, your best guys, they're making 100 dials to the phone a day. Okay, and maybe you're in a boutique or a smaller situation that's really not going to call for that, but whether it's 50 or whatever it might be, you can actually start to really make an impact on this. And the whole follow-up thing, think about the issue of retention. Let me give you a little interesting statistic just on retention. If you have an inactive member and you call them up, you have an interaction with that inactive member, they are now 20% more likely to come back in. Pretty powerful. Let's talk to them a lot. Let's get that number up even higher, right? But what if you're doing that with, clients and customers and prospects? Same things kind of apply there. So lack of follow-up. If you're really working all of these, you can have success and maybe not even think you're a superstar player, but you might end up being that if you're doing all these things. Number 6, focusing on the negative. Focusing on the negative. The reality is we focus on the negative, we're going to get more negative. That's just kind of what happens. But when I think about this, focusing on the negative, I recall a time back when I was in membership sales, and I'd become pretty good at it at this point. And I remember I was up the front, and there were some other gals were up there, and they were complaining about, yeah, these aren't really prospects. None of these folks are interested. Nobody really wants to get started. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, everybody I talk to seems like they're interested. Everybody I talk to kind of wants to join, and it's all kind of easy. Well, it's all on how you focus on it and knowing the process. I think I told a lot of you guys, I had memorized a book. Where's it out there? About there? I'd memorized a book. It was about that thick, or it was a 3-ring binder about that thick. I literally memorized it. And it was the whole process, okay? And a lot of it you see here on the channel, okay? Go back and watch a lot of these videos, very fundamental, kind of things. I memorized it, and I focused on the positive. Okay, solving problems for these folks, and it was amazing how easy it became all of a sudden. Okay, so don't focus on the negative. Focus on what you can control. Okay, focus on solutions. Focus on solving problems for folks. Number 7 on 9 thoughts on why you might be struggling in gym sales. Not setting goals. I see this one frequently. Club doesn't set them. We don't set them. If you're the club owner, club manager, director, have goals, have expectations. Okay, you need the expectation. Again, I remember, first time that I ever made 3 sales in a day, which was a big accomplishment. Certainly, it was a big one for me at the time, and in general, it was a nice accomplishment. And I remember thinking when I did that, I thought, boy, okay, pressure's kind of off for a few days here, because I kind of did something that not everybody really does. And I'll never forget walking out that night, and manager comes out to congratulate me, and hey, Jim, you did a great job and fantastic. And I shook his hand and said, thank you very much. And he just holds up his hand like a stop sign, and he goes, now, Jim, that's the kind of production I need from you every day. I thought, oh, okay, okay. And what's crazy about it is I did. It wasn't long before I was producing 100 sales a month. And in part, it was because of that expectation. This is what is expected. This is the goal. And we're going to manage based on that goal. We're going to manage based on those objectives. Okay? So if we're struggling in gym sales, either as management or as an individual, look at that one. Number 8, not knowing our product and not knowing our competition. And so first thing I'd suggest you do, go shop your competition. What are you doing that's so much better than them? What are you bringing to the market that no one else is bringing? How are you different? Understand it. Okay, just understand it. Okay, and then know your product across the board. You want to become a student at this. You want to become a student. What I would suggest you do, use this channel. Okay, become an expert at this. Become an expert at sales management. Start working out in your gym. Work out on every piece of equipment that you have. Use every piece that you have. Use every service that you have. Take every class that you have. You want to know it. How does it feel? How did you feel? Was there an intimidation going in and doing some of that? Okay, become an expert on this. Know your products. Know sales. Know fitness. Know management. Know people. Okay, knowing your products, knowing your competition, because not knowing it is a big reason why people do struggle. Okay, and then number 9, 9 thoughts on why you might be struggling in gym sales is you don't embrace being a salesperson. You don't embrace being a salesperson. And the reality is everybody's in sales, and I think it was the late Robert Dedman, okay, who is the president of Club Corp. I think that's who that was. And on his business card, he was the president of a large organization, and he'd hand you his business card, and what does it say on there? Salesman. That's what he was. It's what everybody is. Okay, whether you have that title or not, everybody is in sales. Embrace it. Okay, and I remember again when I first started in sales, when I struggled, and there was a few reasons why I did. This was one of them. Is I thought, I wasn't embracing that I was in sales. I didn't embrace that, okay? Because I thought, I'm thinking all the negative. I have to be too pushy and this and this and this. But I was thinking about it all wrong, because really what it is, it's solving problems for people. It's really what it is, okay? It's understanding their situation, solve the problem, and hey, Can we go ahead and get you started? Embrace it. I remember, coming out after missing a sale in those early days, and the manager, he kind of looked at me, and he goes, Jim, I want you to look around. Look around. Everything you see, every single thing you see was sold by somebody. Every single thing you see was sold by somebody. Embrace it. Embrace being a salesperson. Okay? Number one profession in the world, highest paid occupation in the world, everybody is in sales. Okay? And in your gym, everybody should be in sales at some level. So folks, appreciate you being here today. Hope you found this information beneficial. Take a good hard look at it. If you're an individual that's struggling, if you're running a team, these are likely some of the things that you want to look at to help take your operation, to that next level. So folks, appreciate you being here. And again, just a quick reminder, again, my focus, my mission here in the channel is I want to be able to provide as much information as I can, across the globe. And the best way I can do that is when you choose to subscribe, you choose to hit the like button, you choose to comment, and you choose to share the information. Please consider becoming a channel member, and we look forward to seeing y'all in that next video.